Hello friends, and welcome to 10 Points Under, where Isamu is only good in a 4th mass army. This is Big Bullfrog joining you today for your Heroscape adventures, and joining with us in this Heroscape adventure is none other than BodaciousBlood. Hey Bodacious, how's it going?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm a huge fan of this YouTube channel.
Ah, I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. That gives me some warm fuzzies on the inside to hear that. For those of you who do not know, BodaciousBlood is one of our local Utah Heroscapers. He's actually, well, I want to say relatively new to the scene, but I guess you've been in the scene for at least a year and a half at this point. So
yeah, just over a year.
Yeah, so like when you're doing a tournament, or at least some kind of event every month, that turns into quite a bit of experience. So I guess it just seems newer to me because I've been doing it for, I don't know, time's weird to me in my mind. But he's one of our cool Utah Heroscapers. He's a good player. He's done really well in our events. Like right out the gate, I think in his first event you took second, right?
Yeah.
And kicked butt. So great Heroscaper, great guy, great friend, beautiful voice. Just a great example of a person that we should all aspire to be like. That's our co-host for today, folks.
Oh, please go on. Don't stop there.
Sorry, gotta get to the video.
Yeah, we gotta get to the videos.
I'll have probably after the end of the show, I'll have some more stuff that I'll just go
a slideshow montage.
There we go. It'll be great. So today we're looking at another game from our Reverse Draft format online Heroscape tournament thingamajigger. This is between Superfrog and Arrow Grut. Superfrog, a player that we've seen a lot on this channel and never gets old. In fact, he's very, very youthful. He's a really cool guy. I always love watching him play, so this will be another good game with him. He is over on the left. He is playing, let's see, that army is 2 squads of Romans, Arashara Goshiri, the Azurite Warlord, and Kayamon Awa. So a nice little Roman army with 2 warlords and a samurai archer going with him.
And great pronunciation of Kayamon Awa, I might add. I'm probably going to stick with the Americanized version of Cayman Awa this game.
You do that. It's I just can't do it anymore. It is, if you do want, correct pronunciation for Kayamon Awa is Kayamon Awa. And I know that because that's how Japanese pronunciation works. But
there you go.
Anyway, that aside. So his opponent, Superfrog's opponent today, is Arrow Grut. I believe this is the first time that we've had Arrow Grut featured on this channel, but he's also a really good player. I've played against him at least one time that I can think of right off the top of my head. He plays online a good amount. I don't know a ton about him outside of a couple of online events that I've followed pretty closely, though, to be honest. So I don't want to say too much. I do know that he was the Treasure Quest champion. I'm guessing that was an online event, and I know that because that is his title. So congrats to you, Arrow Grut. But, he's a good player. He's a fun guy to play against as well. I've enjoyed my at least one game with him. And he's running the army on the right. He has Raylan, the Kiri Warrior, Rise of the Valkyrie Edition, Zetacron, Master Lao Jin, and let's see, 2 squads of Shaolin monks plus 1, so 2 1/3 squad of Shaolin monks. So you might be wondering, especially if this is your first video of this format, why is he running 2 1/3 squad of Shaolin monks? And the reason is because that's how Reverse Draft works, baby. That was probably the most awkward baby to throw into that tagline because I'm bad at that. But, so basically, I do have a little bit more details on how this one worked. Basically what happens is 2 players come into the game with 2 full armies, quote-unquote full armies. And then you take turns bidding the army down. So the monk army that Arrow Grut will be playing, that one was actually brought by Superfrog. And he had 3 full squads of Shaolin monks, plus another monk, Chen Tang. Figures like Chen Tang, Lao Jin, Azurite Warlord, Arashara Goshiri. Those are all C3V figures. If you don't know the cards for him, make sure you check them out in the description below. But he had another monk hero plus 2 more monk squad figures. And basically what happened is there's a D20 roll-off. and then somebody gets to start bidding. So in this case, Superfrog said, hey, I'll take my whole army and play it against your whole army. And Arrow Grut's like, no, I'll take your army, but I'll sit out Chen Tang if you let me take your army. And then Superfrog's like, okay, that's nice, but what if I sit out Chen Tang and one of the Shaolin monks? And then Arrow Grut's like, what if I sit out Chen Tang and 2 Shaolin monks? And then Superfrog's like, okay, I'll play your army. And so basically the idea is trying to get it a little bit more even.
Yeah. I actually participated in this online tournament. It was a lot of fun. It was my first time running a reverse draft tournament, and it gets kind of crazy with the ability to bid down one army while leaving the other army at full strength. In one example, I played against a Kuei Han army. I was running slow Romans as well, and I said, oh no, Kuei Han's going to just roast these Romans. So I bid down, and we just kept bidding, and my army was eventually Kuei Han and 5 spiders against my entire 600-point Roman army. So it's quite a cool format.
Yeah, that was actually a really cool game. I'm bummed that I didn't get that one recorded because I know I saw like at least half of it. I think it was too late to start recording it, but that was an interesting game. It's a cool way to like balance armies because Kuei Han versus slow Romans is pretty nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. I still lost with Kuei Han, but it was a heck of a game, and honestly, it was a ton of fun.
Yeah, and it was pretty close, like considering
it was,
Kuei Han
yeah,
and 5 spiders. But yeah, so this should be a really exciting game. We'll go ahead and hop right into it. We'll see how this goes. All right, so we got Arrow Grut taking the initiative.
And like I said before, I did bring Romans to this tournament. You actually saw a game on the channel, BodaciousSBlood versus Arashara, on this exact map, actually. So I'm eager to see how Superfrog is able to work the Romans a little bit better than I did in that game and learn a little bit from him.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see similar armies, but also very different matchups, because that was a lot of Romans versus a lot of heavy Gruts, which are both pretty slow and pretty like straightforward-ish armies, as compared to like monks that are going to be looking for all of their Shaolin assaults. This army the Roman army only has 2 squads of Romans, so you got to be a bit more careful with them. It'll be interesting to see like the similarities and the differences there. But one reason I did really want BodaciousBlood to be joining me for this game is he's a big fan of Romans and he plays them really well. So I'm excited to see what insight he brings to this game.
Yeah, Romans are probably one of my more preferred units. In fact, I don't like running with Marcus Decimus Gallus with my Romans. Taylor's well aware. I like slow Romans. I like slow rolling my Roman pods. I like 2 or 3 squads of Romans. So this army fits right into my niche. So I'm excited. It is kind of interesting that he's not running. That Arrow Grut didn't run Raylan. I thought that was super interesting with a more defensive pod of Romans. But I like what he did with Cayman.
Yeah, that'll definitely change up the dynamic. It is interesting to see like the 2 Roman and 2 really powerful warlord mix. Arashara more powerful points-wise than like hitting power-wise. She's got lots of shenanigans that she can do. In fact, especially with this game, if she could snag Lao Jin with her shifting sands at some point and get him into a good spot, that'd be really, really strong for Superfrog. Although there's also a lot of not land on this map, so that'll be a little bit harder.
That was the point I was going to bring up. Is it was tough to move around with Arashara on this map because lava, of course, and then swamp water doesn't. You can't move your figures if they're in those tiles.
Yeah, so we'll see how they're able to jump around. Looks like Arrow Grut's taking a bit more of a defensive approach to this matchup as well, which is probably a good thing, I'd say.
Oh, definitely.
There's a lot of weird development that can happen if you try to bull rush through the center.
Yeah, and while they're almost even on squad quantity, I just think that losing a monk for Arrow Grut is going to be a lot worse for Arrow Grut than losing a Roman for Superfrog in this, given the state of the heroes.
Yeah, that's true. I think I definitely agree with that. Especially because like Romans, they've got more numbers per squad, as well as they can bond, so that's 5 figures that you're activating a turn compared to the, I guess, 4 figures, because the monks are bonding through Lao Jin, so there's also that hero activation, I guess, so it's not quite as lopsided as I was trying to make it out to be. No, that's casting for you. You gotta bring in the excitement somehow.
That's right. I like what they're both doing.
This is an exciting game.
I like what they're both doing, kind of pushing onto that 7 hex above their start zones, because that's generally on this map the best place to hang out for both melee armies. It's kind of interesting to see them both say, well, we're setting up camp, you can come to me, and that's what Arrow Grut's doing right here with Zedekron taking a long shot at, it looks like, Kaiman Awa. See, I said it right.
Thank you very much for that. That's a really good move, that first snipe on Kaiamon, especially because, like, while you were saying that, both armies only have one ranged figure, so if Zedekron is able to take out Kaiamon, especially within, like, this first round,
and right there,
that's a big advantage.
2 wounds right there.
Yeah, 2 wounds right off the bat. Probably a little concerning. Oh, but Superfrog has an order marker on Kaiamon.
Here we go.
It's like they're mirroring each other.
But with those 2 wounds, it's kind of hard for him to justify putting him up on that lava field.
Yeah, it looks like he's doing it anyway, which may suggest that he's got another order marker to try to retreat with. I mean, I do think it's good to try to take a shot at Zedekron to try to kill him sooner than later, because if he stays on the low ground, unless he retreats a good amount, Zedekron's just going to be able to find him and snipe him again.
Absolutely, and with that huge attack roll, wow. And he's gone, just like that.
Pathetic defense roll. Man, yep.
Perfect move.
And steals an order marker. Yeah, that was a really, really strong...
He was angry indeed, as Arrow Grut put it.
Angry Arrow. Oh, but order marker 3 was on Romans.
Wow, that was a cool risk that paid off.
Yeah, I definitely think it's worth it there, because I mean, I think that's one of those points where you're like, I got to get as much value out of Kaiamon before he goes down as I can.
You know, I like watching Superfrog play. I think he's very well calculated in each of his moves. I've never played against him yet. I imagine I will here pretty soon. I keep getting matched up with all the greats, which is really cool for me. I represent on this game the average Joe's opinion of Heroscape. You've heard a lot from like Orc Elf Army 1 and Doc and Dysol and Superfrog and all these greats. I represent the average Joe who is just learning Heroscape, like probably many of you guys watching, that is picking up the tricks from the masters just as you guys are. So here's my humble opinion of Heroscape in this video.
Yeah, you know, your average Joe who places second at the first tournament that he attends.
Details.
Yeah, no, it's nice to have a fellow average Joe on the show with me. But yeah, looks like Superfrog's gonna keep developing up north. Looks like he tried to switch, which would have put a Roman in position to grab the Valdeglyph, which
that would have been great.
It would have been really nice if he was able to get those 6-move Romans going, especially with bonding.
Honestly, that's one of my favorite things to do with Arashara Goshiri, one of my favorite C3V figures. As expensive as she is, I think she brings a lot of value to the table with her Shifting Sands ability. And I love just using Arashara to move Romans even further than they should, or progressing 5 Romans as opposed to 4 Romans per turn. I think it just helps you set up that pod really fast, really, really well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. There's a lot of just like cool shenanigans you can play. Actually, kind of side note, but still with Arashara, I really want to play her in some kind of a multiplayer format sometime, because I think that'd be awesome.
Oh, tons of fun.
Be it, either with teams or a free-for-all. Either way, there's just like, I mean, with 2 players, there's already a lot of options that she opens up for you. You know, turn that up to like 3 or 4 players, and there's a whole lot that she can mess up with your opponents. I mean, you know, you do something too crazy too early on, you probably get ganged up on and killed pretty quickly.
Totally.
But, you know, you have fun doing it.
Yeah. I agree with that. I've always wondered, so this is another tangent, holy cow. Nikita agents with Romans and Arashara, can you move with Arashara's Shifting Sands in engagement with Nikita agents and activate Engagement Strike?
I believe so.
That would be fun.
I'm trying to find that, but it doesn't look like it's in her book. But I believe, like, I know stuff like Jotun throwing, or Jotun throwing, depending if you want to go with the super traditional pronunciation. But either way, I know that if somebody's thrown into Nikita agents, then they get engagement struck. I believe that it's the same thing with like Drow chain fighters. If they pull somebody into engagement, they can get hit. So
Nice.
I
Yeah.
guess it's probably the same.
Oh, I bet you're right. And that first round, like I mentioned, was really important for posturing these melee armies into good positions for their army. And now it's kind of just a matter of, let's see who can make the first move. I think this round will be another round of posturing, since the range of Zetacron has been disabled.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. And it looks like Superfrog is going full-on Romans as well. I was kind of interested to see if he'd use Kaimon at all, because that's a nice advantage that he'd be able to push, especially with the center being as bumpy as it is. He'd be able to snipe a few Shaolin monks on their way in, I'm sure, or shoot Raylan.
Yeah, with him not threatening with Kaimanawa, it allows Raylan to move comfortably into that really key spot that a Roman can't get to as easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good spot to put her on too, because it's at least one space away from a Roman next turn. So it's going to take him 2 turns to get in there. If he tries to take that long, he might... I mean, that might be too long. He might just get beaten back. In fact, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, probably will, because a monk can block it.
Yeah, and I don't see why you don't threaten with Kaimanawa. Maybe it's just the fact of I'm using a very strong bonding army, because often I'll forget to put that X order marker as a fake out on my other threatening figure that doesn't bond. But ultimately, I think he's still in a very good position.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I mean, like, I don't think going full on Romans here is like bad.
Mm-hmm.
I probably would have put 1 or 2 order markers on Kaimon, just to especially if like Raylan comes up, I can shoot Raylan. If monks come up, I can shoot monks, and I can kind of dictate the flow and the where the battle happens. That said, I mean, Azurite Warlord is a big threat to Raylan.
Oh, totally.
Arashara Goshiri, it looks like he's switching to Arashara Goshiri play, maybe, or going back to Azurite Warlord. Either way, that Romans still do give Superfrog a lot of good options, and especially since he's able to take the glyph right now, 6-move Romans helps him get some good battlefield presence going on. Although I don't know that okay, never mind, he's blocking that space. Thought he was going to open himself up to a Shaolin attack, but yeah, this also the center of this map is kind of weird for melee engagements, as I'm sure you know from experience.
Yeah, serious. It's kind of a fun map. I hope to play on it again now that I know a little bit more about it and how it works and how it plays. It's tough to be a melee army against a melee army on this map. Typically, Romans versus monks is a pretty straight up fight, but on this map, it's going to come down to a lot of who places their figures where, and how the terrain affects the squad figures, and the height that you allow your opponents to get is going to be critical.
Yeah, 100%. And the nice thing about monks is that they can stealth leap over a lot of the lava and a lot of the obstacles that are in the center of this map. The problem with that, though, is that stealth leap is only 3 move, and so Arrow Grut's got to first get close enough to stealth leap into the action. And while he's taking time doing that, Superfrog's developing. So I actually really like how this is working out for Superfrog. He's really using the map very, very well by just not allowing Arrow Grut to get any engagements in while he's taking attacks on Raylan. I mean, next turn, Arrow Grut will be closer to attacking, but Superfrog with 6-move Romans should be able to find ways to limit the effect of those attacks.
Yeah, it's 6-move Romans and 8-move Azurite Warlord.
Yeah. So actually, I do want to touch on Azurite Warlord really quick, just because he is a C3 figure, and just in case people don't know much about him. He's a Warlord. He's a Viper. He's got a giant trident, and he's pretty gnarly. One of his main features is the fact that he's got 8 life and 3 defense, so he's like Krug level tough. But also with that, he's got a Furious Wrath special power, which lets him add 3 to his attack dice, which would be a total of 7 because his base attack is 4. In return, he does take a wound for that attack, but rolling with 7 dice whenever you want to not bad at all, especially when you've got 8 life to soak up those wounds with.
Totally. And if you've seen the profile on Heroscapers.com for Mega Silver, I believe he's the designer of Azurite Warlord. He puts it nicely in his little signature. He says, Azurite Warlord equals assassin plus tank. And I think that's the ultimate description of Azurite Warlord. And I think we're going to see it. Nice little move here.
Actually, this is a Shifting Sands.
Yeah. Nice little move with the Shifting Sands. I think that's really cool.
Nice.
That puts Raylan in
that's
a
really good play.
Bad spot.
Yeah.
And another thing about Azurite Warlord is he is medium, which is kind of funky because he's a 6 height. He's pretty large. I probably would consider him a large figure, but hey, he's medium.
Yeah. That's one of those things that the C3V in retrospect has been like, yeah, he should have been large. We'll try not to make that mistake.
But that being medium really allowed him to throw that Azurite Warlord over into that really good spot for him, and then allow Raylan to be surrounded by these Romans. No bueno for Raylan.
Yeah, especially because now the Warlord's being a roadblock for that Shaolin Monk. I mean, it can stealth leap, but I mean, just like that whole area of the map is now commanded by the Warlord. He can move out and attack guys. That's really good. And that's why I need to play with Arashara a bit more, because I'm aware of the shenanigans that she can pull, but I didn't even think about that while watching this, which I feel kind of silly about, because that's a really good play.
Really strong play.
And that's another 2 wounds on Raylan already. Holy cow. Okay, there's a much-needed block for Arrow Grut. And we'll see if this last one...
This could be it. Oh, nice block.
Okay, so it's blocked. So that is nice for Arrow Grut, because that gives him a little bit more time, since Raylan is now kind of becoming a roadblock. Definitely not the figure you would choose to become your roadblock, but at this point I'm sure he'll take what he can get.
I agree.
But it will be interesting to see how he works with that. Let's see. Monks can move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Alright, so it looks like he is going to stealth leap on in. I wonder if... Okay, so I think this is an interesting decision point, where Raylan's been stolen and pulled back so much. How do you think you would develop your army if you're playing Arrow Grut? Do you just kind of leave her for dead and try to develop a bit more, or?
With only 1 life left, I think I would focus primarily on bringing my monks a little bit more forward. I don't know if I'd engage quite yet. I know it's like super tempting because Raylan's a key figure in your army. You're already down on points, and you need to kill some Romans to get that value, but ultimately I probably would have played it a little bit safer, but it really could work out for him right here. Mm-hmm. So it really just depends on if it works, it was a great move, and if it doesn't work, man, yeah, you probably should have rethought that. That's how it is with Heroscape.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's all about that hindsight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like, I do think that I would have used so there's the monk that's right next to the so it's on the swamp grass right next to the 2 level 4 lava.
Yeah.
That one was like on low ground against Azurite Warlord already, so I probably would have like jumped him in just to get a good attack.
Totally.
But I feel like the rest of this feels just like a little bit rushed. He did kill a Roman, but I think even if he killed both Romans and put like a wound or 2 on the Azurite Warlord, that's just a really good spot for superfrog to just then come back into the game, especially with 6 move Romans. And I mean, and part of that is the power of stealing Raylan and just kind of like forcing your opponent to make some suboptimal decisions. Because I mean, I don't know that there is a optimal decision at this point.
No, definitely not. I agree with you. And the fact of the matter is, if a Roman dies, the rest of the army is right there. But if a monk dies, it's going to take a turn or 2 to get more monks into the fight.
Yeah, and that's my worry, is that just like you're just kind of building up to losing more figures, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not to say that it's like over yet. I'm just kind of like looking at the moves that are made and just saying that like why I'd play a little bit differently. But also, I'm a pretty safe player, and I think Arrow Grut is hitting the point pretty quickly where he does need to just start risking it for the biscuit.
Totally. You've got to play like everything's going to go right for you, because Everything's already
Yeah.
not going right for you. So you just have to assume that
Yeah.
everything's going to go well, and everything can work out. Now, ultimately, this turn will determine how the rest of the game goes, in my opinion. If this like the shifting sands didn't work, that's great. If the Romans can't execute and can't kill those monks, then I think that Arrow Grut has a really good opportunity to start smacking down on Arashara, on Romans, on that Romans pod in the water there, and potentially save Raylan, but really save the game.
Yeah, I agree. This is going to be a really big turn. Interesting that Superfrog's not attacking with Arashara after trying to...
Yeah.
Or, well, I guess she has to move before
first.
she...
Yep. So he was trying to keep her safe. I think.
Interesting. I think I probably would have just moved up and attacked down.
I agree with that because right there she's kind of a sitting duck. Like that's not a very optimal position for Arashara. Move up to the 4 height, even though she's not the beefiest hero around. She's still gonna kill that monk most likely.
Or maybe I would have just taken an attack with the Azurite War. I don't know. I'm not certain what shifting that monk does that the Romans aren't already doing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Nitpicks.
Totally. Serious. I think that's one thing I love about Heroscape is you can have 10 different people playing the same army and there wouldn't be one single game that goes exactly like the other. There's so many variables in play style, in of course probability, but ultimately each player has the autonomy to just choose how to play their armies, and every single person can play their army so different, and I think it's so cool.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And that can really be the difference between how well an army does or how well a player does, especially if you're playing against somebody you haven't played against very much or at all before, then it can totally throw you off if you're playing against somebody who's got a different play style. Loses the Valda Roman.
Oof.
Yeah, that lava did not...
That was bad news for Superfrog. Another cool thing to note here,
Yeah.
as it is the end of the round, is Arrow Grut has 2 full squads of monks left, while Superfrog only has 1 squad and 1 Roman.
Yeah, so, I mean, for all the doom I was kind of saying on Arrow Grut there for a little bit, numbers-wise, it's looking like he's kind of got it going his way now. And they tied on initiative. Although Superfrog did take it, but that would have been a big initiative for...
That would have been huge for Arrow Grut, yeah.
Really, really hammered.
I am curious to see how these monks can handle beefy heroes like the Azurite Warlord.
Yeah, I think a lot of it will depend on how well Superfrog is able to position the Warlord and either deny attacks or...
Oh, nice move with the... I hope this works out.
That'll be a good sans.
Oh, baby.
And it works. That could be so big.
Because that's all of his order markers right there.
It already is good. Yeah.
That was huge. And that...
Hefty 3 skulls.
That is why she has 200 points right there. We saw it with Raylan. We saw it with Master Lao Jin now. And just that forward positioning of Azurite Warlord as a roadblock. It's just so many things that aren't all measurable, I guess. I guess that's the word. With attacks and, killing figures. Arashara Goshiri is honestly worth 200 points in most games if played correctly.
Yeah. I mean, that's huge to be stealing such powerful figures. I feel like we need to make a meme now. I'm thinking something along the lines of, you got a Hydra Raylan, Hydra Lao Jin, Arashara Goshiri.
Yeah, I don't know if she'd be
you.
worth 200 points against a Hydra Raylan, though. That's a bummer. But this is a good matchup
That's true.
for her.
Hydra's a little bit different. It is. And that is a dead Lao Jin.
Oh, no, that's a round. That is the whole round.
That's the full... Man, that's huge. That's absolutely huge.
That's see, that initiative was critical. That's a bummer for Arrow Grut.
Really good play from Superfrog there.
Next level. Good game. LOL, as Arrow Grut so eloquently puts it.
Oh, is he just going to call it there? I mean, I would be surprised because he's going to lose At least like 4 monks this round.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a game-winning move.
I think that was the game winner because there is 5 monks left on the board and 2 more turns left for the Romans and an Azurite warlord. So I think they're calling it the game right there.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Yeah, that worked out perfectly for superfrog. Just really good attention to detail with Arashara there and recognizing who he can swap out. And, I mean, Arrow Grut maybe a little aggressive with his figures. I don't know, but also after Zedekron was killed so early on, if you let Arashara run crazy against a melee army with 2 key cheerleading figures, that's trouble.
Yeah, definitely. I am really amazed by Superfrog's ability to recognize the moves that were there with Arashara. There was always he saw the things that I didn't see, you didn't see, many of our viewers didn't see, and as soon as he highlighted those figures, I was like, "Whoa, that's the move."
Right?
So I learned a lot this game. Arashara has so much potential. She's the player of the game this game, and I hope to see more people using her.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've only played with her a couple times, and she's been fun. She really changes how you look at the game when you play her. And, I mean, definitely shows up right there. Being able to steal figures and just, completely change how the battlefield works when everything becomes a danger space.
Definitely. And I think one thing that might go unnoticed with the Romans this game is Superfrog kept them kind of in battle buddies, rather than a pod of 4 or 5 Romans all protecting each other in a shield wall. He didn't really rely on that too much, as that probably would have limited him in this map, and that's probably what I fell victim to, was thinking too much about the pod. Ultimately, he was able to just keep 2 pairs of Romans together throughout the match, and yeah, they didn't see too many hits against them, but just even increasing their defense by 1 makes them a very viable competitor against these 3/3 monks.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That was really good, just battlefield awareness from what he was able to do with the Romans, how he was able to ideally develop with them. Just really good play, really good battlefield presence. I feel like everything just worked with Superfrog's strategy. I mean, yeah, he just had really good strategy from the start, being able to round 1, Kaimanawa, take out Zedekron, and then from there just play the Romans really well. Utilize Arashara to her really, really good effect. Use the map really well, because we saw that as well, just denying engagements from the monks and forcing Arrow Grut into bad positions. That's just really, really impressive play. Not to knock down Arrow Grut at all. I think he was playing well. He was definitely starting from behind once he lost Zedekron in the first round, and playing melee, like I said, playing melee into that Arashara nightmare.
Yeah.
was... I mean, yeah, it's a nightmare.
Well, just think about it like this: had Arrow Grut blocked that attack from Kaimanawa and then fired back on his order marker 2 and killed Kaimanawa, then the advantage would be Arrow Grut's, because he can wait for Superfrog to come to him. Once Zedekron was killed, Arrow Grut said, "Well, I'm a melee army against a guy with some pretty good range, so gotta go kind of press the action a bit."
Yeah, and he was, and I think he was doing well in trying to press what advantages he could find. It just didn't pay off. He just couldn't make up that gap. In fact, the gap got wider and wider and wider with how well Arashara worked.
Yeah, that was a perfect execution of Arashara, perfect execution of a small Romans army. I'm going to remember battle buddies and the foresight that Superfrog showed with Arashara this game. And I look forward to doing more of these videos with you.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for joining me. This is actually a pretty short one. I just realized after it finished, but this was a really good one. I enjoyed having you on.
Thank you, and thank you, viewers, for having me. Your average Joe Scaper.
Do you, average Joe Scaper, have anything that you'd like to share with the viewers really quick, or any parting words of wisdom, final messages? No,
serious. Just find ways to build your community wherever you're at. Here in Utah, we're lucky to have a really great, large, and growing community. Find scapers around you, even if it starts with 4 friends. just start doing tournaments together and join us online. I mean, I'm no good online. My record is like 2-12 probably right now, but it's just so much fun learning from the games that I play, learning from the games that I watch. Just find ways to be involved with the Heroscapers community and make the community around you bigger and better. Do what you can. I think this is an awesome game.
All right, thank you for that. Those are really good words of wisdom to share, BodaciousBlood. Thank you again for joining me, and thank you, viewers, for joining us with this pretty awesome, pretty epic game that just happened. We look forward to seeing you around next time. Remember how beautiful and glorious the world is. This is 10 Points, Under and Out.